On the one hand, the United States wanted to be paid back in full for the money it had lent the European allies during World War I, so they could continue purchasing the arms that allowed them to secure victory. On the other hand, Britain and the other European allied countries needed to get that money from somewhere. But the loans were beyond the allied economy's capacity to repay. Then where was the money going to come from? The answer? The reparations Germany owed them. Now, the link between the inter-allied debts and German reparations didn't go wholly unacknowledged, at least not by the Europeans. At the tail end of the war, the Allies floated the idea to President Wilson that their war debts be forgiven. They explained that if they did need to pay the US, then they wouldn't need to force Germany to pay them so much. And by moderating their claims against Germany, they would have stronger assurance of collecting on those claims. President Wilson's answer to this proposal arrived in the form of a letter to then Prime Minister Lloyd George on August 5, 1920. Wilson's response? The United States failed to perceive any logic in what seemed to be suggesting that the US pay part of the money Germany owed, or that the US extend a gratuity to the Allied governments in order to persuade them to set German reparations within Germany's capacity to pay. It was later suggested that President Wilson's refusal to acknowledge the relationship between inter-allied debts and German reparations was due to the fact that he wanted to see a fair settlement reached with Germany. After Britain and France banded together to urge parallel liquidation of inter-allied debts and German reparations at the Hythe Conference, Wilson doubled down. On November 3rd, he announced he found it highly unlikely that either Congress or popular opinion would ever allow any part of the debt Britain owed to the United States to be cancelled in order to induce Britain to cancel the debts it was owed by France and other Allied governments. And regarding agreeing to cancel or reduce the debts of any of the Allied governments so they could reach a practical settlement of reparation claims on Germany, also off the table. Thanks for watching episode 13 of this series on Imperialism, the Economic Strategy of American Empire, by Professor and economist Michael Hudson. Stay tuned for part 14.